Thank you. And good morning, councillors and staff, and any members out there in the gallery and cyber world. Welcome. Due to COVID-19 restrictions regarding gatherings and the need to comply with social distancing measures, all council meetings will be held by video conference until further notice. Residents will be able to attend meetings in person. Federation Council wishes to advise members of the public that council meetings will be live streamed so that the public may view the proceedings of the meeting in real time or later, and will be available after each meeting on council's website. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, the Bangarang people, and acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who now reside in this area. I extend that respect to elders past, present of the Bangarang nations. Number 3, I'll now call for apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors.
I don't have any apologies, Mr. Mayor. I think everyone's joined on the live on the video conference, and we do have one application for leave of absence from Councillor Thomas. That's been sent through for the meeting, the extraordinary meeting on the 29th. Is that correct, Councillor Thomas?
That is correct. I'm unavailable next Monday.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Councillor Wales is dropping in and out. He's having internet troubles. They will be online.
Okay, excellent. We have an apology, a leave of absence for Councillor Thomas. Would someone like to move that, please? Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Meagle. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. I'll now 3.1. Apologies.
4.1. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 4.1. Confirmation of minutes of ordinary meeting, 19th of May 2020. Would someone like to move that, please?
Move, Councillor Meagle.
Seconded, Councillor Law.
Seconded by Councillor Law. Thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Number 5, disclosures of interest.
Haven't received any, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Point number 6 is Merrill minutes. 6.1 is relating to postal voting proposal for local government elections. There's a recommendation there, councillors. Would someone like to move it, please? Moved by Councillor Longmire. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Law. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Move on to point number 7, the General Manager's report.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. 7.1, councillors and staff. 7.1 is the Murray-Darling Association climate change template, and also associated with the MDA is a recommendation that Federation Council move over to Region 2 within the regional zones for the Murray-Darling Association. So there's a report there which initially outlines where the MDA are up to with their climate change position paper. So it's an initiative of the Murray-Darling to have a basin-wide position and strategy on climate change. So that's been something that's come through their strategic planning workshops, which we're quite an active involver in those workshops. So the Region 1, which we're currently still part of, and we intend to be still an associate member of Region 1 out of Albury, forwarded around a template which they want the regions to meet and get some ideas and understanding of what they consider each council's actions and risks are, and what our response is to climate change. And then the view then would be each region would adopt a template type document which would feed into the board for the national body to then develop a statement. And I guess it'd be similar to councillors are familiar with the RAMJO work that they've done on a lot of areas, including this space, but also more recently on the water strategy. So the MDA probably doing a similar process around climate change more broadly. So that's there for council's information. We will be working it up a little bit further. I guess the basic template's there as an attachment, and with council's consent, we'll be adding a bit more to it, some detail around some of our drought-funded projects and some of our community partners like Landcare, Coral Landcare and Riverine Plains to assist, and some of our staff as well who are working away in some of our areas of sustainability. So we'll do a little bit more work on that if councillors are comfortable with that approach, forward that through. And then possibly come back through council when it's more developed as something we would look to adopt ourselves as our own document. So that's the climate change statement. Happy to take any questions on that one, or the second part of the report is on the Region 2 move. So councillors have been briefed on this also about a shift across to Region 2, which contains our more western neighbours and some of our councils on the Victorian side. So we've moved that we're recommending that we do that. The board have advised the MDA board that it's not a major issue in terms of the constitution or our involvement or our fees, and we think it'll give us a bit more relevance and a bit more involvement in things of landscape and agricultural uses that we're more involved with. So Councillor Thomas and the Mayor, Councillor Longmire, are pretty much involved in this process as well, so they may comment. And so the recommendations there just to do those two things: to endorse a template for the climate change and to write to the board requesting a transfer across to Region 2 and remaining as an associate member of Region 1.
Someone like to move that, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour?
Questions?
Sorry, comments.
I have a comment.
Councillor Thomas.
Who was
Yeah,
the second? Sorry, I just rushed to
Watch it.
Uh,
Councillor Thomas.
Thanks for the opportunity to comment. As mentioned in our business papers, our region has been at the forefront of representing water issues for a number of years. And it's exciting that we can continue this, remembering that, you know, we are the home of the Moala Canal, which aside has just celebrated 80 years since it's first released the water. So that's really good. And also, it is actually the longest irrigation canal in the Southern Hemisphere, and is also pending some heritage listing. So that's really good to hear. So hence, this is a really positive outcome for these two recommendations to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would there be any further questions, councillors? I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.2.
Thanks, Mr Chair. The Cycleway transfer of land Cora Common Trust to Council. This is just a brief report just to seek Council's endorsement that we accept the transfer of management of land of a section of the Cora Common to enable the shared pathway that transfers right through to the golf club and creates that full link now back through to town. So that's been a long drawn out project and process over many, many years. So it's another really positive step forward. Now the path's fully built and our teams are in process, if they haven't already, have taken that over formally. So this just presents it to council for awareness and endorsement that process is occurring. So recommendations to note the report.
Someone like to move that recommendation, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments there, councillors?
Do we have an opening date for it?
I'll take that on notice, Councillor Law, and just find out. Yeah, I'll check down through our team. Steve will follow that up through Darren Harvey, and we'll check out what that looks like. Yep.
Councillor Meagle.
Councillor Meagle.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It has been, as noted by the General Manager, a very long and drawn out process thus far. But I think all the councillors will be very relieved that there is now a much safer option available to cyclists and pedestrians rather than having to walk down that road to the golf club. So finally, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle. If there's no further questions, councillors, Councillor Whitechurch.
Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, we've got you now.
Yeah, just one thing, and I think we mentioned in the early days there regarding the exit of the path down at the golf club gate. We talked about the fact that we were going to be pushing cyclists and pedestrians straight onto the roadway. I'm just wondering whether we've looked at that, probably through you, Mr Mayor, to Mr Carmichael regarding the safety of the barrier rail or something.
Mr Carmichael, would you be comfortable with that question? Are you there?
Yeah, now that I've got a microphone, I'm right. Yeah, it's one I haven't had a look at for quite a while, but we'll take it up again now that this has come to reality. So I remember it was raised some time back, but at this stage we haven't gone any further with it, but we'll certainly take that on board and I'll come back to you on that one.
Thanks, Mr Carmichael.
Yeah, they have done a fairly detailed risk assessment. Steve's aware of as well about the fencing and so on beside beside the path all the way down, so we'll be able to check where they got to with that exit end of it there, Councillor Watcher.
Very good, thank you.
Anything further, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against?
I did have a question
Carried.
before.
Question, sorry, councillor Wales, you snuck in there. I'll take that one.
No, nothing. It's only to support Councillor Meagle's comments about the safety issue. Very important for the people on the road. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, councillor Wales. And I love your question. We love your question sign too. Looks fantastic.
Very professional.
Yes.
I
Okay.
apologise
Oh.
because I couldn't find the computer. I'm right now. No, thank you.
No worries. Okay. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.3.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Cora Target, this has been through the media and our councillors and some have been involved with statements in support of especially the staff of that premises now that Target have announced a closure nationwide based on a big review that they've announced. And unfortunately, the Cora Target store is one of the ones that is planned for a full closure and not been transferred to Kmart like some others. So that's just a brief report noting that report hasn't been formally to council as yet. So our different teams through staff as well as councillors, the mayor and the deputy and others have done various actions and in support of seeking if there's any other solutions around that. So the recommendation is to note the report on the planned closure of the Target store in Cora, that the mayor and the staff consult with the owner of the site, and if supportive, they write to the Target parent company, Wesfarmers, seeking that they reconsider that decision. And if, in the event that that's unsuccessful, council, in consultation with the business chamber, Cora, liaise with that property owner and offer any support practical in attracting a new tenant into that key central retail space in Cora. And certainly, our thoughts would be with the staff most affected. That's the first and foremost, along with obviously the owner who's got to find another tenant. But our thoughts would be for those staff that be looking down the barrel of not having employment after next year. So,
Absolutely. Can I have a move for that recommendation, please, councillors?
Councillor Law?
Moved by councillor Law, seconded by councillor Wales. Any questions or comments? Councillor Thomas.
I have a question. In terms of council's ability to look at the economic impact of such a proposed major store being closed, how is council looking at that, and can they make comment?
I might refer that to Director Shannon for some comment as to what the economic development area think or are looking to do that in that way. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Thomas. Our economic development team are looking at that. We did have a retail expenditure report undertaken last year. So we're referring to that report and seeing if we can quantify that. So there will be further information coming to council.
Okay, thank you. If there be no further questions, I'll put it, councillors. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 7.4.
7.4, Mr. Chair, COVID-19 and a brief report on our services and where council is responding and able to react to government changes to reintroduce or certainly lift back up to a standard more closer to what it was like pre-COVID for many of our services. So our councillors as well as staff, I think, have done a magnificent job in being able to transform across and out of the organisation in many ways to a visual setting like we are now. But certainly our staff are working really hard and responding as quickly as we can to reintroduce our services. So things like our customer centres reopening have been a big boost for our community. Our caravan parks opened early June, along with responding to many other public areas, our public toilets, our sporting grounds. I know it's moving pretty fast, but there's meetings all the time around football and leagues and which leagues are going to reopen to juniors, etc. So our staff across all those assets are working really well to do that, as well as our staff that have just kept on going through our other critical areas, our water, sewer, our mobile preschool, everywhere else you look. There's been an enormous amount of work still being carried out, which I think has given the community a lot of confidence going forward to see those projects, the maintenance and the construction and all our regulatory work, our sale yards.
Yes.
I just moved that motion. That was moved by councillor Whitechurch and seconded by councillor Meagle. Is that okay? We lost you there at that point.
Fine may be with a comment, Mr. Mayor, or a question for the General Manager.
Absolutely. You're right, Councillor Meagle.
Yep, we got you.
We've got you
Thank
now.
you. Just with regard to the opening of the toilets, are all the toilet blocks being opened across the LGA, or just are we still restricting them as one per town?
I might refer that to Director Appleyard for a comment.
There's been a number reopened, but the issue is that our cleaning is limited as we only have limited staff. But they are reopened, and we've got a program to reopen all of them over the next few weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.5.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. This is a variation to our regional waste collection contract as a result of China sword policy, so a national policy from China a few years back, which basically put an end to our Australia's exporting of recyclables and other waste to China. Recommendation is to note a report on the 5th deed of variation to the regional waste collection contract due to that policy and delegate to the General Manager the authority to execute the deed. So this has been worked through with Albury and all the other member councils and our legal advice, such that we've come to an agreement for a reduction in the rate of what we would get for our recyclables, with our contractor being Cleanaway, and any changes will be reflected in our budgets going forward.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kennedy by the look of that, and seconded by Councillor Watchers. Thank you. Any questions or comments, councillors?
Councillor Meagle.
Councillor Meagle, thank you.
Yeah, just a question for Ms. Shannon, if I may, Mr. General Manager, regarding the reflection on our budgets going forward, because the poor old budget's copping a hit both with COVID and a few other things, and I just wondered if the directors had any chance to assess what the impact of this reduction in income be.
I have secured some information on the expected impact on our expenditure. There has been, the figures have changed, and the financial result has actually improved from where we thought it was going to be as a result of this variation. So we are still quantifying the exact amount so that we can ensure that the curbside collection charge that this will be recovered through can be adjusted in the budget that is adopted by council. So there will be some further information, but I'd like to have some further discussions about that with you before we actually set the fees.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon.
We're at questions. Councillor Meagle last. Director Shannon, a question. Did we finish that question, that answer?
Yes, thank you. Asked and answered. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Any further questions, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Aye.
Against carried. We're up to 7.6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 7.6 is Jacob Hino, a tipper and truck and dog hire invoice. So there's a report there recommending we write down an invoiced amount that we had sent to Jacob Hino from 186,480 back to 93,652. So it's quite a significant write down. The report there's briefly outlines what the issues were and the incident that occurred to require council to hire outside trucks arranged through Jacob Hino or with them. So a long drawn out process ended in some negotiations where they've come back with a revised costing where they consider council out-of-pocket costs in the longer term won't be as bad as what we are in the shorter term due to the increase in the value of some newer trucks we've purchased as a result of that were replaced, from Jacob Hino as a result of the faulty bodies on the ones that we brought under tender. So there's a recommendation there to do that, just that, to write that down. There's a notation there in the fine implications that suggests that we would rather that occur in our next year's financial year in terms of that write down if that does occur, if councils go that way, but that's before council for consideration. And if there's any more detailed information, we could go to a closed report to get some more information for councillors if they were if they needed that information.
Thank you. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor Wales, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or queries, councillors? Councillor Whitechurch.
Sorry.
Sounded like Councillor Long.
Councillor Whitechurch, did you had your hand up there or not?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just weren't sure whether I was in first. I note the report and I note the recommendation, and I understand that there were reasons to come to that figure. What did stand out was why we accepted a figure that they put back to us based on there was obviously a problem. We know from previous correspondence that our director, Carmichael, had come up with some very good reasons, and I think that the staff were happy with the position. I'm just a little bit perplexed that we might have to accept their offer, and can we just put some credibility as to whether that's definitely acceptable?
Thanks, Councillor Whitechurch. We could defer the report or note the report without accepting that amount. Steve may comment, Director Carmichael may comment on this. I guess it was just to try and put this forward to get some movement forward. It's amount too much above what I could, under my delegations, accept. But I take that point as well in regard to whether council wanted to get an outside assessment of their claims around the new valuations of the trucks being of a higher value, obviously newer trucks that we have received because of that delay in getting them done. So happy for councillors to do, to defer that report or to note the report and seek further information. It's not a matter of having to be decided on this day, but we just wanted to keep that going forward. Director Carmichael, would you be able to comment on that one?
Yeah, thanks, General Manager. We've only done our own internal assessment, so if council wants to head down that track, I don't have a problem with that. I wasn't involved in any of the negotiations, and then we did an assessment after we were presented with the facts and figures, which goes into some lengthy documents, and it's a very long, drawn-out process, which is a very unfortunate one, as I said when we talked about it last time. So, yeah, it's entirely up to council which way. If they need to get an independent assessment on that, I'm happy for us to go down that. I just want to get it brought to a head so we can move forward, that's all.
Thank you.
Comment, Mr. Mayor.
I just take one from Councillor Longmire, and then I'll take Councillor Meagle. Councillor Longmire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regard to the General Manager's endorsement, I guess we'd call it, he hasn't got the authority under his position to be able to do it. But at the end of the day, if the council executives have had a look at this and it seems to be a fair arrangement, I think we should move forward, because at the end of the day, the Jacob Hino group are a very reputable group, and I think I'm starting to be more confident now that in the situation.
Thank you, Councillor Longmire. Councillor Meagle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could I just move an amendment that rather than accept the recommendation that we note that report and defer it for further information? That's a lot of money to be foregoing. I'm happy if there is a value or improved value on the plant that we now have, but that's not quantified. That's only suggested, and perhaps given the size of the money involved, it would be better if we do get further information on an assessment on what we believe that is, and if it's fair and reasonable, that's great. But just as Councillor Whitechurch said, to take their word for it, for that amount of money, I would like to see some further validation of those figures. So to move the amendment to get further information, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I've just had correspondence from the Mayor, Mr. Burke, and General Manager. They're at the Urannah office. There is a complete outage at Urannah that's affecting not just the council office there, but the entire town of Urannah. The Mayor's asked if we could get somebody to move to suspend standing orders, and they're going to head into Corowa office and live stream from there.
So moved, Sean. So moved.
Councillor Thomas, the seconder for that.
Councillor Law.
Thank you, Councillor Law. Any comments? Unfortunately, we have to go. I'll put it. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. We hope to reconvene in about 1 hour. So let's work on about 11:15.
Councillors, would someone like to move to resume standing orders, please? Moved by Councillor Wales, seconded by Councillor Law. Oh, yep. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Aye.
Thank you. Where we're at was 7.6. There's been an amendment moved to
I think it was an amendment proposed by.
amendment proposed. Do we have a seconder for that amendment?
So that wording, Councillor Meagle, it would be to note the report and defer this matter and receive further information.
Yes, please, Mr. General Manager.
So seconder?
Yes. Can I have a seconder, please, councillors? Do we have a seconder to that
Councillor
amendment?
Law.
Thank you, Councillor Law.
Any discussion?
Any more discussion, councillors?
Can I just ask clarification, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, for
I
sure.
presume by that we mean an independent report.
Councillor Meagle, just to answer that Director Carmichael's question, the intention was to have an outside evaluation done?
Of the trucks, the new
Of the
trucks.
Whether it be an outside one or whether council has the ability to do it itself, I'd just like, because what we've got on the report is Jacob Hino's opinion of what the value is and therefore their proposal. But we've, I'd like probably an independent view of the value of the trucks, and therefore we can make a better assessment of how much we're having to write off, if any.
Yeah, and I support that. I think that's would help staff as well, to give us all a bit of cover. So, would there be any further discussion on that, councillors?
Put the amendment.
Okay, I'll put it all in favour. Against? Carried.
So
Thank you.
So then that becomes a motion. Now
That
put the
becomes a motion.
Put
So-
the motion.
I'm going to put the motion now. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 7.7.
Just for completeness, I think on those councillors that aren't present at the moment.
Oh, yes.
Note that Councillor Kennedy has requested leave of absence for the remainder of the meeting on work duties, and also Councillor Longley will resume at some stage. He's just offered an appointment, so you may note those couple.
Would someone like to move that, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Meagle. All in favour? Against?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Thanks for that. I forgot about that. Okay, 7.7, notification of boundary changes proposed for state.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is regarding a proposed redistribution of the New South Wales State Electoral District's recommendation there is that council make a submission to the Electoral District Redistribution Panel to strongly request that the entire Federation Council area remains in the Albury electorate and to seek the support of the local member Justin Clancy in this process. So that's just off the back of some information we've received which may suggest that they will look to reallocate some rural regional LGAs into other areas to try and keep the distribution in accordance with what it needs to be. And suggestion is that we want to strongly recommend we stay in our one electorate, being Albury.
Someone like to move that recommendation,
So
councillors?
moved.
Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Wales. Any questions or comments, councillors?
Councillor Meagle.
Councillor Meagle.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think that it's always better to be able to deal with one set of federal and state members and to change the boundaries when we have just become a new council. The whole council area is in the current directorate, and why we would have to then deal with multiple members would beggars belief. So happy to support the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Meagle. And as discussed before, I believe that the merger of Federation Council was for scale and capacity. I believe that we would lose that if we were divided again. So thank you. Any further questions on that, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you.
7.8 is a report recommending or requesting we hold an extraordinary meeting of council at 4 p.m. on Monday the 29th of June to allow consideration and endorsement for public exhibition of our revised and updated delivery program, along with our 2021 draft operational plan, our draft long-term financial plan, fee and charges, and any other associated documents.
Have a mover, please, councillors. Moved by Councillor Wales, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch.
I have comment.
Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Thomas.
I have comment. It's just just for clarification around our minutes when they're presented. In the last paragraph in the business papers of the General Manager's report for this particular item, it talks about a 28-day public exhibition period and a final set of documents will be adopted for the 1st of July. Should that not read the 1st of August?
So it's a very good question. The situation with COVID-19 has allowed the councils to have that extra month, but I've checked this with Joe, our Director of Finance, and the situation is that we do start our budgets from 1 July, so we don't have a 13-month financial year. So it's been done through legislation, but it is an exhibition process, and we will be operating on draft budgets for that first, through July. Is that your understanding?
That's correct. There will be associated with that, the adoption of the budget in principle will also be a recommendation to adopt an interim budget for the month of July to ensure that projects can proceed. So, however, the annual budget will still relate to the year commencing 1st of July 2020.
Thank you. Would there be any further questions there, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
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 All in favour? Against?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. It's a bit of a delay.
7.9, Mr. Chair, is a request or recommendation that council hold the July Ordinary Council meeting at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday the 30th of July. So that reflects allowing that 28-day exhibition period and not requiring or not suggesting we have to have an extraordinary meeting in July, just have the one meeting and have it on the Thursday the 30th.
Can I move it, please, councillors? Moved by
So moved.
Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor
Councillor Law.
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 Thank you, Councillor Law. All in favour? Any questions or comments first, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Again, carried. Thank you, and that completes the General Manager's report. I'll now move on to the Director of Community Services report. 8.1 is the quarterly budget review statement, third quarter.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank
just before you
you.
start that, that would have to be the longest General Manager's report in the history of Federation Council, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Thank you, Councillor.
good
Meagle.
call. Yep.
Going back the old days, I
That's-
think, Mr. Meagle.
No more repeats.
Well, I'll lead off on this, the budget review statement. There's a recommendation there, councillors, that the council note the report on the quarterly budget review statement as at 31st of March 2020, and two, that council adopt the quarterly budget review statement by 31st of March 2020 with recommendation changes to the operating and capital budgets as tabled. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Would someone like to move that?
Councillor Law.
Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by
So moved.
Councillor Thomas. Questions? Any questions, councillors?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Meagle.
Councillor Meagle.
Not really a question, but a comment. Lots of toing and froing with, and credit to the finance department for being able to juggle the numbers to make them all balanced. But very fortunate that we've received some income that we hadn't expected to keep us afloat, and it's lovely to see the cash balance being back in where it should be.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle. Any further comments here, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. 8.2 is financial performance report. As at 31st of May 2020, there's a recommendation there, councillors, to note the financial performance. Can I have a mover, please, councillors?
So moved with comment.
Moved by Councillor Thomas, and I'll just get a seconder, please. Councillor Law?
Yes.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Councillor Thomas?
The question is to our Director, Shannon. Can you please make comment? I'm finding it really exciting that there has been an absolute increase in integrity in the reporting system that's coming through on our business papers. So congratulations to all involved in that process. So hence my question isn't around the year-to-date financial figures that are presented. With this, have you noticed a change or discrepancies or increase or decrease in the figures comparable between 2019 and 2020 at the same date? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Thomas. I might have to undertake a review of that and do that as a question on notice. The work that we've done has been focusing on the results, the current results at the 2019-20. We are planning on doing some modelling against previous years, and so that will be some of the improvements in the future that you will see. But at this point, the improvements relate to the current financial year.
Thank you, Director Shannon. Any further questions, councillors?
I might just make a comment, Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the staff as well. Like the significant amount of capital works that's been undertaken this year is just, I know we can always look forward to more and look for reasons as to where things are up to, but that's an enormous amount of delivery through a lot of departments, engineering especially, and projects to get that amount of 39 million done across this year and still going. That's an enormous, unusual amount of capital works to deliver for council. I know it's getting results, things are getting built everywhere, but it is a significant amount of work and strain on the organisation that gets to that point. And just noting Councillor Thomas's comments about the improvement, the additional information coming through the finance area with some additional resources like our accountant position and some staffing that we've had to increase to adjust to that, and that obviously all reflects on our long-term financial plan as well, but the information coming through I think reflects the amount of work gone in, and just a credit to all the staff as well for their ability to still deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations to all the general manager and directors, all the staff involved in that. It's fantastic to see. Well done. Any further questions on that topic? If not, I'll put it.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on the right sector in regard to so much infrastructure being developed and built throughout our shire. In percentage terms, when we look at the opportunity for upgrading and maintenance of our road network, in one of the reports I've read, there was $615,000 relocated from the resealed local roads area into other road projects. And I was just wondering if our real core industry is to maintain and look after roads, certainly not deleting the infrastructure opportunities, but going forward, have we got that percentage basis right currently?
Would you like to make a comment on that?
Happy to make a comment. Our Director of Engineering made a comment also. I think where council's up to, it's a very good point. Where council's up to now in this fairly enlarged capital work, new work program. There's still been a fair bit of maintenance done across the area, but I think going forward, our long-term plan will suggest that we do need to move back towards a more maintenance scenario and start looking after what we've got and continue to do that. So obviously we had to take advantage of all the money that's around, but a lot of that capital works also is not so much with, especially in the roads area, we're not building brand new bitumen roads where we didn't have seal before, so a lot of that work might be classified as capital, but it's still renewal or upgrading a lot of our roads through those big state government grants that the engineering team have been able to get as well. So it is a good point you noticed about our reseals and our gravel resheets and those traditional areas where we used to like to always focus on. Our footpaths is another area, not building new ones, but trying to fix where our trip hazards are, our gutters. Would you have a comment there, Steve?
Yeah, there's a couple of comments I do pick up. That you'll also see there's a line above there somewhere where we'd spent 800 and something thousand and we only had a budget of 200,000. So basically what happened with the reseal program, the boys started booking it to a number and it stayed in that number, and it got to the stage in the end we went right through the reseal program and left it there and then swapped the two budgets over. What I've done in the long-term financial plan, which we'll talk about this afternoon, now that we have some actual road lengths, road widths, not so worried about the condition, but we've actually gone back to basics and said we have X amount of square metres of regional roads, local roads and urban streets. So we've set down a periodic time that we need to reseal them, work that through. And for one of the first times I've seen for quite a while time, we're actually based our budget on what we need to keep that asset maintained. And that'll be something that'll come out this afternoon. Joe's very keen to see us financially viable. I'm very keen to see us asset sustainably viable as well. And I don't think we're quite, Joe's a lot closer than I am, or Director Shannon, I should say, we're in the council meeting. Yeah, we're just a little bit behind that at the moment, but we've certainly done some background work, and I take on board what you said. It shouldn't have happened. The money should have been allocated or charged out to the right work order number. Unfortunately, when it started, I let it go until it got to the end and then brought it across as one adjustment instead of trying to adjust it as we went on. So hopefully that helps. And again, we can talk about that again this afternoon when we're talking about the long-term plan.
Thanks, Director Steve. I'd just like to make mention that Councillor Longley's rejoined the meeting, so welcome back there, Councillor Longley. Any further questions or comments on that one, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Councillor Longmire, did you have a question?
No, I think he's...
Or was that
No, just put
just a tick?
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.3 is loan borrowings. There's a summary there, councillors, and there's a recommendation that council notes the report on borrowings, and the council formally approves borrowings as follows for the 2021 financial year. I'll get a move in a second, please, councillors. Who'd like to move it?
Councillor Law.
Moved by councillor, seconded by councillor Thomas. Questions or comments, councillors?
I have with comment.
Thank you, councillor Thomas.
I just noticed in the business papers that each one of the major projects has a council meeting citation where the recommendation has gone through. And I just didn't know, for clarification purposes, whether the LED lighting upgrade also needed a formal motion to go through as per the table that appears in our business papers. I'm really happy to support the project, but just because the others had citations next door to them, that was the only one that didn't have, whether we needed to do that today.
Okay, Joe, would you like to make a comment there?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Thomas. There is no formal requirement for council to agree to that project in that manner. The purpose of the reference for those other projects and having the meeting resolution reference was to ensure that council was clear that they have actually already considered these projects. So this is purely about ensuring that council formally agrees to approve borrowings, which will support an application for that we can submit to TCorp or other financial institutions.
Thanks for that, Director John. I just have another comment, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to, on behalf of the Federation communities, I'd just like to thank the Federation Council and staff and my fellow councillors, for their commitment to these significant long-term projects that will enhance and engage our communities as we move forward as Federation Council as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Any further comments there, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.4 Corporate Credit Card Policy. There's a recommendation that council adopt the Federation Council Corporate Credit Card Policy 19-14375 as attached. Could I have a move, please, councillors? Moved by
Councillor Whitechurch.
Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments there, councillors? I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.5 GIPRA Agency Information Guide Review. There's a recommendation there, councillors. The council's agency information guide be adopted and placed on council's website in accordance with the requirements of Government Information Public Access Act 2009. Can I have a move, please, councillors?
Move, Councillor Meagle.
Second by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments, councillors?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councillor Meagle.
Thank you. In support of this information guide being updated, it hopefully will provide clarity, because the amount with people requesting information about what can and can't be released, I think this will be very valuable to save a lot of staff time and angst. So happy to support the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Meagle. Any further comments there, councillors? Not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.6 Council Hall and Facilities Policy. There's a recommendation there, councillors. There's 3 points to that recommendation. First one is that council note the report on the Council Hall and Facilities Policy, and 2, that council endorse the proposed fees to Council Hall and Facilities hire policy effective the beginning of 2021 financial year. 3, that Council Hall and Facilities hire policy be publicly exhibited for 28 days and reported back to the July Council meeting for final adoption, including consideration of any submissions received. And 4, that Council consult with the relevant Section 355 committees who manage the Council Hall facilities as part of the public exhibition of this policy, and consult with any known regular user groups through this period also. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor
Happy to.
Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments there, councillors? Councillor Thomas.
Just a question for Director Shannon. I had a local user group who has been looking at our business papers, and I just wanted to confirm that for Section 355 and town committees, that the use of a hall or a facility will have 100% of the waived fees. Is that correct? There'll be no fee charged. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, can I just clarify? So Councillor Thomas, that request was so for the Section 355 committee to use the hall, that there will be no charge?
That is correct, or a town improvement committee, not necessarily one or both.
Yes. Thanks, Councillor Thomas. Yes, per the that policy, that would be the case. Correct.
And I think it's exciting that with the recommendation 4, because it actually, really highlights the importance to continue that engagement with our town committees and our Section 355s, because I think they're feeling a little bit left out of the loop, I suppose one would say, considering we haven't still got their documents all together. They're still in draft form. So good opportunity to chat to them again. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Any further comments there, councillors? I'll put it. All in favour? Councillor Meagle.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could just have a quick comment, it appears that the service groups, which obviously are used to raise funds for the community, seem to be slightly disadvantaged. They're at 50% of the fee, whereas other groups are 80% or a total waive. So you might just get some feedback as a result of that. That's the only comment I wanted to make.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle. Councillor Whitechurch, did you have a comment?
No, Mr. Mayor, I was just highlighting Councillor Meagle had a comment.
Thank you. Nothing further, councillors? I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
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 Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.7 COVID relief. There's a recommendation that council note the report on COVID relief. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Moved by councillor
Wales.
Moved by councillor Wales. Seconded by councillor Thomas. Questions or comments, councillor? Any questions, comments?
Aye.
I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.8 Youth Council end of term for youth councillors, 2019-2020 term. There's a recommendation that council note the report of the Youth Council end of term for young councillors, 2019-20 term. Point number 2, that council acknowledge and congratulate the 2019-2020 Federation Youth Councillors. And point 3, the council endorse the request to extend the current Youth Council 2020 to 21 term to be from May 2022 to September 2021, and then from September to September thereafter. Can I have a mover, please, councillors?
So moved, Councillor Law.
Moved by
Wales.
moved by Councillor Law and seconded by Councillor Wales. Any questions or comments, councillors?
Exciting times, I think, Mr. Mayor.
I have a comment.
I'm sorry, Councillor Thomas. Yes, Councillor Thomas.
I'd just like to say congratulations to both the outgoing and welcome the new Youth Council for this upcoming term. I think it's really an inaugural part of having this particular entity within our council, and it's exciting because it makes our youth connection within our Federation Council area and beyond, and some really exciting projects they've got on the books for the upcoming season will be brilliant, including a colour run in Wales. I hope you're all dusting off your joggers. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Wales, you have a question.
Yeah, I support Councillor Thomas's comments, and it's very exciting. These young people doing such a good job, and it'll be very important for
Thank you, Councillor Wales. Okay, I'll put it all in favour.
Pleasure.
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Carried. 8.9 long-term lease of Coral Aerodrome to Amber Aviation.
Mr. Chair, I'm recommending we defer this report. We're still working through, as councillors were advised at the briefing session, we're still working through some final draft clauses in the lease. So I'm recommending we defer this report until the 29th, the meeting on the 29th of June.
Absolutely. Okay, councillors, would someone
So moved.
like...
Councillor Law.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Move to defer. Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Longmire, was it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or comments there, councillors, before I move off that one? If okay, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. We're up to 8.10, merger funding and program update report. So there's a recommendation there, councillors. The recommendation that councillors note the report for merger implementation plan with progress to the end of March 2020. Can I have a move, please? Moved by councillor Thomas, seconded by councillor Law. Questions or comments? Councillor Thomas.
I have a question without notice. I was just inquiring about the scope of the Kiffins Reserve improvements, and that's been tabled now with us for a few years on the understanding that it has been extended to December 2020. And I just wonder, within that scope, is there possibility to have the draft 2013 management plan for that precinct finalised and updated and come out of a draft format but into a finalised document? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I'll just put that out there to staff just to see if there's any comments on that, understanding that they've had no notice on this one. So if anyone was comfortable to make comment.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment if I could, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that project, I understand, was the extension of that pathway through the whole reserve, but I was certainly made aware too when we merged that the plan was up for review and needed a big review, that plan of management, or not even review, formalising and adopting it. And that goes to a lot of areas, including camping and et cetera in there. So it won't be as part of this project. I understand this project was for the actual physical work to extend the pathway through there to link up to the overall longer pathway, but it certainly needs to be done, and it'd be good. We'll certainly take that on board and provide a better answer and check whether or not it's in our plan for the next financial year to get a major review done. And it'll be a big piece of work because of the size of that land, but it certainly needs doing, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Was there any further comments there, councillors or staff? Councillor Wales.
Yes.
Did you have a comment there?
Yeah, Kiffin Reserve, a great bit of land in there, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no, it will be a good future asset for sure, and I agree with where Councillor Thomas is trying to go there. It needs the attention it deserves. Anyway, I'll put that one. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 8.11 minutes, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. Recommendation that council receive and note the minutes of the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 29th of May 2020. And number 2, that the minutes of the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee meeting held on 29th may be uploaded to council's website and once endorsed in accordance with Schedule 1 Government Information Public Access Regulation 218. Would someone like to move that, please?
Move, Councillor Meagle.
Moved by Councillor Meagle. Seconded by Councillor Wales. Law. Seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments there, councillors?
Oh, that's not a bad comment.
Yeah, good comment there, councillors. If not, okay, I'll put it there, councillors. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.
Let's step on us.
Thank you for that report. Now we'll move on to the Director of Corporate and Community Services report. 9.1, building approvals. So 9.1 there, the building approvals. There's no recommendation there to deal with. So we'll move on to 9. It's just
somewhere.
For information.
Still get a note. Okay,
we'll get that noted for information. Would someone like to move that building approvals? Please, councillors. Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Wales. Any questions or comments? Not, I'll put it all in favour. Against?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. 9.2, development of applications under delegated staff authority since the May 2020 Ordinary Council meeting. There's a recommendation there that Council note the report on the on the development approvals that have been determined under delegated authority by granting of consent subject to conditions since the May 2020 ordinary meeting. Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor
Law.
Longmire. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Law, thank you.
No, I was just seconding, but you're right.
Councillor Law, I thank you. I'll put that one, councillors. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. 9.3, regional and state significant development applications lodged. There's a recommendation that council note the report of regional and state significant development applications lodged. Moved by Councillor Law, was that? Moved by Councillor Law, maybe?
Yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Thomas, Councillor Thomas, seconded. Any questions or comments here, councillors? Not, I'll put it, all in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. 9.4 was authorised Officer Swimming Pools Act, affixing council seal. Recommendation. The council resolved to appoint the contractor Neil Smith for the purposes outlined under section 27B of the Swimming Pools Act 1992 and point 2 that council resolve and affix the council seal to the certificate of the authority for the contractor Neil Smith. Moved by Councillor Longmire. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments there, councillors? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.5 is the Aussie backyard bird count. Recommendation. Point number 1, that council note the report on the Aussie backyard bird count, and 2, that council continues to participate in this program with support of Coral Land Care in the coming years and build on the success of last year's participation. Would someone like to move that, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor.
Move me to comment.
Yeah, I'll just get a mover and second if there, Councillor Thomas. Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Wales. Thank you. Comment, Councillor Thomas.
I just absolutely encourage participation in this significant national citizen science program. Interesting fact that I happened to hear on our local radio station that citizen science projects absolutely increased exponentially during COVID-19. So that's a positive. All these people who have stayed home and they've tried to get activities either for themselves or for their children. And so let's hope it will be really interesting with the 2020 results of the National Bird Count, whether it's because we're having really great seasonal conditions in the south or whether it's because people are actually aware of science citizen projects, the difference between the 2019 results and the 2020 results. So the challenge is out. Let's get counting our birds. Thanks.
I might make a comment.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I'll ask the General Manager to make a comment.
Yeah, lined up with that a bit, Councillor Thomas, the Cora District Landcare giveaway of all those native plants that was emailed around to lots of people. I took advantage of that too, and they've got some really good species that are identified to attract certain types of birds. So I know my kids are all over that, so I think it's really good initiative lined up as well with our birds.
Thank you. Any further comments here, councillors? I would I just have one issue. I can't, in Federation Council, not an issue, but the sulphur-crested cockatoo had more sightings than the house sparrow. It just appears a bit unlikely to me that the house sparrows are absolutely everywhere. But anyway, there's some pretty good, interesting reading there. So if there's no further questions, would someone like to move it? Put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 9.6, Sale Arts Professional Membership. The recommendation that Council notes the report on Sale Arts Professional Membership, and point 2, that Council approves membership for both ALSA and the ALMA associations for the 2021 year. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Moved by councillor Longmire, seconded by councillor Meagle. Any questions or comments on that, councillors? That would be... Any questions or comments there, councillors? Councillor Thomas, did you have one?
Councillor Longmire had his hand up.
Oh, yeah, I've taken... Councillor Longmire's moved it. Did you have a question, councillor Longmire?
No, just a comment in regard to the opportunity to be member of both groups in the short term, and this time next year we make a result which way we will go to go forward with.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you. Thank you, councillors. If there's nothing further, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against carried. And thank you. That was the last item on that report. I'll move on to number 10, the Director of Engineering Services report. 10.1, report on progress of works program May 2020. Recommendation to note the report of progress of works program May 2020. Can I have a mover, please, councillors?
Move Meagle.
Moved by councillor Meagle, seconded by councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments there, councillors?
Just a
If
quick
not,
one,
I'll-
Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
That's fine, councillor Meagle.
Just note that as the General Manager alluded to earlier in the meeting, that there's been a significant amount of work done, and congratulations to the engineering department on what they've achieved and continue to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Meagle. Any further comments, councillors, or questions? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against carried. Report on the progress of capital works program. This is 10.2. There's a recommendation that council note the report on the 2019-2020 capital works program May 2020. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Moved by councillor Whitechurch, seconded by councillor
So moved.
Thomas. Questions or comments, councillors?
I have comment.
Councillor Thomas.
Just in follow-up, what my fellow councillor Meagle mentioned with the 10.1, the capital works is such an essential part of what we deliver in terms of our capacity within council. And as mentioned earlier by our General Manager, to have $39 million delivered in this financial year is absolutely brilliant. And well done to the team involved in the 1920 delivery of these capital works. Obviously, as a councillor, this is one of our main areas that we tend to hear about, you know, the good, the bad and the ugly. But I must admit, in this last season, I've heard a really lot of good reports about what's happening out on our roads and within our towns, and certainly within the Shire as a whole. So thank you very much to all those involved. I just would like to ask Director Carmichael a question. I noticed a couple of the items have been deleted. I just thought you might like to comment on why they've been deleted, especially in and around the Wanani Road extension and the shared path. Thank you.
Yeah, there was a couple of those ones that were put in there that as we went through the year, and it's a bit like we've just done the quarterly review, you get to the stage where you get to the half-yearly mark or the second half of the year, and we just look around and say, well, some of those jobs are important, but there's other jobs that are more important. So they haven't been lost, they just sit there, and obviously we'll reconsider them in the next budget, but at times we just need to transfer a bit of money from one area to another to keep the financial department happy, otherwise they keep hounding me.
Thank you. Any further questions there, councillors? Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to echo fellow councillor Thomas's words on the feedback you do get around the traps. And the other pleasing thing is the response time. I know in our early time in this term of council, we were on about council getting back to people and council addressing issues, but I certainly know from the different ones that I've put in, be it some white lines marked or a footpath fixed or a branch hanging down, and they're just some of the recent ones I've come across. The works team are onto them very quickly, and the feedback comes back, be it in the supermarket or the street. So I know we still have some issues and there might be things pop up from here to there to get missed, but overall I think, everything needs to be congratulated. Well done.
definitely. Thanks very much, Councillor Whitechurch. Any further comments there, councillors? If not, I'll put that one. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
10-3 now.
10.3, report on the progress of stronger community funding, works May 2020. There's a recommendation that council note the report on the progress of the stronger country community funding, works May 2020. Can I have a move, please, councillors? Moved by councillor. It looks like they're frozen.
Councillor
Oh,
Law.
moved by councillor Whitechurch, seconded by councillor Law. I've got councillor Law as the seconder. Any questions or comments there, councillors? Councillor Thomas.
Comment. Just a really positive comment. There's been a few people from the south of the Shire who have driven through Urana lately, and they're really excited to see the progress of the Aquatic Centre leisure building. They're either excited to see the progress or they're actually asking what it actually is. So it's really great as a councillor to be able to enlighten them on this fabulous project taking place in Urana. So well done.
Thank you, councillor Thomas. It has been very positive, and I'm sorry, councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, sorry, just a quick one on that with councillor Thomas. I've same too since the works have started, and there's been some pictures being posted on social media of the slab being poured out at Urana and whatnot. But the continual question comes up is, why was it called an aquatic centre? The comments of, are they getting a pool or what's going in there? Is it too late to have a name change as to what the building actually reflects, or do we keep running with aquatic centre?
I think I'll try and tackle that one, councillor Whitechurch. I totally agree. I don't know why it was called the Aquatic Centre. The original grant that went in there was from Public Works. It was Minister Kim Yeadon. And on that day, it was referred to as the Urana Aquatic Centre, and seems to have carried on since then. I know that you would consider Aquatic Centre more like a swimming pool and a water park or something like that. So I'd agree that maybe we should put it out there and consider a bit of renaming, whether it be a little lake. We've got the big lake, but I don't know. But I think it's a good idea because it's certainly different from an aquatic centre. Thank you. Any further questions or comments on that one? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Yeah, hands at rest.
Against carried. Thank you. 10.4. Submission of minutes from the Section 355 committees, Lonsdale Recreation Reserve Committee. There's a recommendation there that council receive and note the minutes of the Lonsdale Recreation Reserve Committee dated on the 6th of May 2020, and that council note the risk issues raised in the Lonsdale Recreation Reserve Committee minutes dated 6th of May 2020. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Moved by councillor Thomas.
To move.
Thank you.
Happy
and
to
seconded by councillor
Wales.
Wales. Thank you.
Wales. W-A-L-E-S.
Thank you, councillor Wales. Any questions or comments? Councillor Thomas, I'll start with you.
Just in regards to what appears in the business papers and the background information in the business papers, you might just have to revisit it before the minutes go out, because it talks about on the 6th of May 2020, the Lonsdale Recreation Reserve Committee, Section 355 Committee, met to discuss items in relation to the construction of the Oaklands Recreation Ground change room facilities. So you might just have to revisit that background information and just change it, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Thomas. Anything further there, councillors? If not, I shall put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Carried. 10.5, draft a master plan, Lonsdale Recreation Reserve, Mulwala, recommendation for public exhibition. there's a recommendation there, councillors, that council note the report on the draft master plans for Lonsdale Recreation Reserve at Mulwala. Can I have a mover, please, for that one? Moved by councillor Thomas,
So moved.
seconded by councillor. Thank you,
So
councillor
moved.
Thomas.
Councillor Law.
Seconded by councillor
Law.
Wales. Is that right? Councillor Law, seconded by councillor Law.
Yeah, I'll do it again. Yeah, that'll be right. Thank you.
I've got, thank you. I've got Thomas and Law, and
Microphone.
sorry, councillor Wales, I'll include you. I'll look out for you next time. Any questions or comments? And I'll ask councillor Thomas.
No, you're right.
It's beautiful. Councillor
Fondly
Thomas.
back to our very first Federation Council meeting in Chamber in October 2017. And what was on the business papers? It was a recommendation by council at the time to demolish Bay 13. Look how far we've come. My fellow councillor Kennedy and myself, with the guidance of the Lonsdale Committee, overturned this, and now we have a building which has been refurbished. So to become part of this journey of this master plan up for exhibit, as per our business papers today, it's really exciting. And you've got to remember too that this has encompassed a large body of work, of behind the scenes from our volunteers of this Section 355 committee. And to reach this milestone, along with the continued support of the Federation Council, there's some really exciting times ahead for this key Mulwala area. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Thomas. It was a very big issue at the time, and but anyway, as you've said, a very good result. So that's fantastic. Councillor Whitechurch.
It's been on that journey with the Lonsdale Reserve, and we did have some quite interesting debate at the back of that time. But I note that this is to fall in line with the long-term plan, and it's sort of going to be over the next 10 years. Again, it's one of these master plans like our, and I'll just use Senga Street and the riverfront at Corowa. Are we going to be following a master plan and make sure that this does follow through for the next 10 years? And we don't want to be going down the same track and trying to chase funding, and then in 5 years' time, we say, no, we don't want that, we don't do it. I think this is another example. If we're going to put a master plan out on exhibit, the stakeholders and those that have got to have their comments, and then the council, be it this council or the next one or going forward, have to stick to it. And we seem to be setting a lot of things in place to move it go with it.
Thank you, councillor Whitechurch. And councillor Thomas, councillor Wales at the top there. Councillor Wales.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. You got me? Hello. Hello.
Yes, we have councillor Wales.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Being a star footballer for
Mulwala. We've got you, councillor Wales.
Thank you. Being a star footballer for Mulwala Football Club years ago, it's good to see Bay 13 refurbished. Thank you.
Well, that would have only been a couple of years ago, I'd imagine. But I just want to make a comment there on what councillor Whitechurch said. The best part about these plans are the fact that it gives you direction and opportunity for grant projects. They can be more shovel ready. You're not working ad hoc. So these master plans are great to see them come to fruition.
I might just make a comment as well, if I can, Mr. Mayor, on the point. There's a good point by councillor Whitechurch on adopting master plans and what does that mean, or in this case, going out for exhibition for a final public call for comment on that. But I think as part of this one was to capture what we were up to and reflect that and get that understanding of the committee and the stakeholder groups, like councillor Thomas said, and the success there has been. But you'll note in that current plan that we're putting out an exhibition, there's quite a lot of work in there. There's quite a range of prices and ideas about what may be a good idea for that future development of the reserve. But I think it's almost like we need not so much a disclaimer, but an awareness that a master plan, it's not a shelf document that will never get looked at again, but it's not rock solid that will occur, because as we know, even with Cora Foreshore, you've got to have that balance. You've got to have a vision. You've got to have some ideas to seek grant funding, but you're also relying on approvals coming through for certain areas, which may not work. So I guess it's just a word of, I think it's a reality in any sort of planning that you don't always get what you ultimately set out to achieve, but as long as it remains live and doesn't get benched and put away, I think that's where the risk is. And Councillor Thomas has also noticed that later on in this report, in this business paper, there's a question about the Mulwala foreshore. So I think it's imperative on all levels now of council to refine and review some of those earlier master plans that were done in years past, and on both old Shire area structure and our management roles. Now there's managers put across those different areas like recreation, that to try and give more focus to the strategic planning as well of that, and making sure we don't have plans that aren't funded. But just a word of caution that I think to adopt that doesn't mean we're going to have to go and find all that money, over that next little while. We just need to make sure that those projects still remain priorities and check in as we can on them.
Wish list, yeah.
Can I make a comment?
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Any further comments? Certainly, Councillor Longley.
Oh, you can hear me. Ah, good. I believe these documents should be regarded as living documents, and they might be modified from time to time as required by the various committees and funds available, but they need to be reviewed frequently, I think. The one at Low Square we regard as a living document, and there has been some modifications over time, all to the satisfaction of those who are involved.
Thank you, Councillor Longley. Any further comments there, councillors? I should stop there before this. If there's no further comments, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Aye.
Okay, 10.6, report on completion of Coral Aerodrome runway 14/32 pavement rectifying works. There's a recommendation there, councillors, that council note the report on the completion of the Coral Aerodrome runway 14/32 pavement rectifying works. Would someone like to move that, please? Moved by Councillor
Councillor Law. Yep. Seconded, Law.
Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor. Oh, okay. Did Councillor Meagle accept that? I'm sorry, I missed that. There was a bit of a pause. Moved by Councillor Meagle, seconded by Councillor Law. Questions or comments, Councillor Whitechurch? Did you have a question there, Councillor Whitechurch?
No, all good, Mr. Mayor.
All good. Any further questions or comments there, councillors?
Just a quick comment. I know we're running behind the schedule, but that was a significant project. It's been a long time since council's set foot in that place to that extent for that amount of work and the amount of requirements, training, but the way the staff under Steve and even our com team as well approached that project and communicated where it got up to was a terrific project. Resulted in obviously reopening that runway, but I think it was a really big and in a lot of ways a new project for council to tackle and to take on. So.
I thank you, Mr. General Manager. I hope our Director of Infrastructure, Steve, has got a high roof on his house there. He's got a fair few pats on the back there today, so congratulations once again, Steve. Okay, that completes the Director of Engineering Services report. Number 11, notice of motion, question without notice. Notice of motion, there be none. Notice of motion, Murray-Darling Basin Plan. Moved by Councillor Thomas, that council request the Murray-Darling Basin Association not to support the proposed buyback of 450 gigalitres of water entitlements from the Murray-Darling Basin. 2, that the passage of water intended for irrigation use downstream be minimised to flows that do not cause environmental harm to rivers, enviros, and in particular the Barmer, Choke and the Murray and the banks of the heritage listed Goulburn River downstream of the Eildon Weir. And point 3, if on-farm efficiencies programs are used to obtain the proposed 450 gigalitre buyback, if it goes ahead, they should be subject to an independent socio-economic analysis that proves that such transfers do not cause negative socio-economic issues in regions where water is being recovered. Do I have a seconder for that motion? seconded by councillor Wojcik. Sorry, I'm sorry. Was there a question there, councillor Longmire? Question or comment?
Speak to the motion.
Or would you like to speak to that motion?
Thomas.
Thomas.
Just in regard, I was seconding the motion in regard to the opportunity. It's been the details of the recommendation are all that's needed to be provided, and it's done well. So, yeah, well done, Councillor Thomas.
Can I make comment, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, councillor Longmire. Councillor Thomas,
Can I make comment?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for your support, Councillor Longmire.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Just remember that these particular requests that we've popped into our business paper will become part of Region 2, MDA Region 2 motions that will go to the MDA AGM in October. So with the endorsement of these motions, they'll be tabled then. And then hence, as you know far too well, because I've had lots and lots of great comments about the MDA, they'll be advocating to our state and federal water authorities on behalf of our community. Hence, I really would like to see some support in and around some really strong comms work done with these motions to go ahead. And even just on point number 2, even though it does talk about the Barmah Choke and the Murray River at that particular point, you've got to remember too that some of those flows that have occurred downstream from the Hume Dam to the top of Lake Mulwala with those environmental flows, there's been huge amounts of water where there's been really a huge concern about the unprecedented overflow bank and the erosion of those because of the environmental flows. So, even we have looked and pinpointed a position on the Murray River, you've got to remember that does occur at other points along the Murray River. But thanks for your support. Thank you.
If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you very much. Okay. The next item is 11.2. Question with notice. Mulwala Foreshore Public Open Space Master Plan. No doubt council say I'll go straight to the recommendation that the Mulwala Foreshore Public Open Space Master Plan be reviewed in 2021 operational plan. Can I have a move for that, please, councillors? Moved by councillor Wales, seconded by councillor Thomas. Councillor Thomas, would you like to speak to that, please?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to do so. As you can see, my question with notice, it's in and around the foreshore master plan for Mulwala. Once again, I have mentioned it's a living document, and that's been a theme today because also my fellow councillor Longley has mentioned the word living document, and on sentiment with councillor Whitechurch's comments earlier too, when we are pulling together our master plans or bringing them out of a draft format into a more formalised format, we need to be looking at them as living documents and having that opportunity to have input, especially from our communities. Obviously, a very major concern for the Mulwala community is in and around Apex Park and the water slide. If we do think back to our first internal workshop, which did occur in October 2017, actually here in Mulwala, the water slide was a topic on that workshop, and how far have we come since 2017? I would say not very far. So let's capitalise on this recommendation and get our community engaged and make some really good decisions about the foreshore and start the planning, because especially as local councillors, and I'm sure if Councillor Kennedy was in chamber today with us, he would have the same sentiments. If we don't look at some solutions for this particular precinct sooner rather than later, it's going to be to the detriment of council, because we've had lots and lots of comments about how that particular water slide is looking. And you've got to remember what's happening at Purtle Park. It is going to be spectacular. So let's make all our foreshores looking spectacular, even if it is just a strategic, really good tidy up. It would be great to move on with it. So let's hope we can actually have this community consultation in the first half of the next financial year rather than the second half, certainly before summer, and the tourists start to hopefully come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Any further questions there, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Watcher.
Yeah, sorry, Mr Mayor, there was a bit of a delay there. Yeah, again, as Councillor Thomas just mentioned, you know, this was a 2014-15 master plan that was done. I just had a quick look at the master plan, and yeah, it was a very detailed one that was paid by a consultant. You know, there's probably in excess of $50,000-$60,000 spent on it. A lot of time would have went into it. It's a fairly long and detailed document with projections, 5 and 10 year goals. Again, another, I don't say a waste of council money, but a use of council funds at the time that was got everybody up and talking and active, and you know, you talk about these things, but maybe at that time council didn't have the money or really had no ability to make that happen. And again, we've got another master plan that we're sitting back and we're going to have to probably fully review, and then get another company to come in on top of it. So just highlights that fact that if we've got these master plans, we've got to be working on them all the time to keep them a living document. I think the Civic Centre just dropped out.
No sound.
Yeah,
No picture either.
I think they went offline.
I've just taken off the live stream. I'll get Civic Centre back online.
You've had a great initiation.
Absolutely.
You're coming out the other end a better man, Steve.
Sorry, team. We're back in again after a little technical hitch.
And I can guarantee you, Michael, it was nothing to do with you at all.
User error.
User error.
Rookie error.
Yeah, so, sorry, I just can't remember. Can we refresh that just for 1 second? Councillor Whitechurch, did you make a comment when we lost our connection?
Yeah, but I think I was just basically saying it's another case of a master plan that was done 6 years ago and paid a lot of money to get it done, and we're really back looking at what I was talking about. So just got to keep these documents moving forward.
Yeah. Okay.
I will notice, though, there probably wouldn't have been a lot of formal reviews done, but when you go through that master plan, the 2014-15 one, all the grants that were chased and won out of that result, even before merger from Corra Shire, like whether it was boat ramps and then the merger came and Digger-Logan Jetty, and there's a whole heap of ones. I know the water slides left, but most of those others have been consistent with that master plan. So it was, but I agree it hasn't been, revisited each time, but I was quite surprised and pleased to see that there'd been a lot of projects done as consistent with that plan.
And Councillor Meagle, comment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to endorse the General Manager's comment. When that master plan was foreshadowed, that was a 10-year long-term project that was going to take a lot of grant money at the time, and we've been fortunate enough to get grants for a lot of those and complete projects that were part of that master plan. So I don't think it's sat on the shelf. I think it's been worked at pretty well, but it was realised as a long-term plan, and no arguments about reviewing it. That's appropriate, but I think, and to see what we've achieved and where we're up to, and the fact that we've got significant grant funding for the All Abilities Playground, that was always going to be the major hurdle, and we seem to have ticked that one off. So in the next couple of years, there's probably not a lot outstanding other than perhaps Apex Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle.
If I make a comment, Mr Mayor?
Councillor Whitechurch. Yeah, Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, just to endorse Councillor Meagle's comments there in regard to that opportunity back at that time. It is over the 5 to 10 years, And I think the boat ramp was one of the first ones that we got some funding for. And so we didn't have that many opportunities. And let's remember that the merger opportunity gave us all this extra grant funding that, which is a bit unfair to compare it, like we were trying to battle for back in those times.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, no.
Councillor Whitechurch?
Echo Councillor Meagle's words and now Councillor Longmire. Yeah, I agree. When you look at it, the funds weren't thrown at that council or those councils at the time. And when you do look at that, which I just revisited then, Councillor Thomas and Meagle and Longmire are all right. A lot of those things have just progressed through, probably not deliberately with the foreshore master plan directly, but it's good to see, there's been quite a bit done on what was in that plan. So probably not as bad as everyone or as I was looking at.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Longley.
Yeah. Oh, you're there. You can hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
You sure? Because I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
No, that's fine, Councillor Longley. We've got you on air.
Righto. Mate, we talk about Moala's foreshore master plan and Coral's master plan, but there's no mention, and I don't know how many times I've tried to get master plans put on the website to get up for how long. Susan at one stage said yes, she was going to tack the one on the Memorial Park onto the Caravan Park, Ball Park. Nothing's happened. The 355 committee, the Low Square committee, nothing's happened. We've been ready for nearly 3/4 of a year for that, and that's missed out. For some reason or another, we're just being left off the list over there at the moment.
I'll probably just make a comment on that, Councillor Longley. Those things are, something, especially a master plan for Low Square. There's something that we, I'm sure, they're on our staff's minds, and we need to follow them up and make sure that they are done so that we can get equally as good a result for How Long, as well as the others that have been fortunate enough to have advanced master plans. So, yeah, good point. And if I could just say back to, in relation to Councillor Whitechurch's relations to the Corowa Shire and the merger money, but I can see what he's saying in a sense is that it's a great space. There's a massive opportunity there. We had conversations down there in relation to better mooring facilities there, opportunity to enhance the businesses. There's some really good businesses along that foreshore. So it is another exciting spot to roll on with. So hopefully we can secure some grant funding. I'll make that comment, not taking away from what your point made. Councillor Longley, it was made and I think very much taken on board. So thank you for that one. Any further comments there, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 12, reports from committees. 12.1, Federation Youth Council, Ordinary Meeting 7. Okay, so there's the minutes of that meeting. There's a recommendation that the minutes of Federation Youth Council Ordinary Meeting held on 26/2020 be noted. Can I have a mover, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor
Law.
Longley.
Pardon?
Law.
Who?
Councillor Law. Moved by Councillor Law. Seconded by Councillor
Whitechurch.
Whitechurch. Thank you. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I will put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
I've got you again, Councillor Longley.
Yeah, mate, I'm only getting, I'll be lucky to getting 50% of the voice over here. I'm missing I've missed most of the meeting because I can't hear it.
Halfway there.
Oh, Councillor Longley, that's a shame. I've just said some very nice words about you and your community. But anyway, you'll just have to take that on board. Sorry about that. We're on reports for delegates. We're at now 13.1 verbal reports from delegates. Are there any delegate reports? We have 13.1. We'll start off, Councillor Thomas. You might have a delegate report.
Yeah, I have delegate reports. I just wonder if my Councillor Wales could mute. We can hear you, Councillor Wales.
Well, that's good then. I'll turn it off. Sorry. See ya.
That's a very diplomatic way.
I had the opportunity to hop onto a Zoom meeting in terms of the Southern Basin water availability, obviously within the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, and it was actually hosted by New South Wales DPI Water. I found it a really interesting space because, as you would know, in the Southern Basin, water availability in the last watering season was zero. So for them to host a meeting online, it was actually a really safe space for them to do that, because I imagine if they had to have a gathering at a local hall, it wouldn't have been such a safe space for them to be at. I could see on the screen there were 73 delegates, and you had an opportunity to ask questions through a citation line, and some of the questions were very hot, for a better word. It did create a safe space for the DPI to answer them. So that was an interesting reflection. And as we move into the next watering season, they're talking about very small increments, especially in the surface water area for the Southern Basin. So that was interesting. An MDA Region 2 meeting, the Coro Business Chamber get together once again over Meeting Google, which was interesting, and a youth council get together where we talked about our mentoring program. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those reports, Councillor Thomas. Would there anyone else have any delegates' reports? Okay, thank you. I've got a mover and a seconder, do I not? Yes, I do, I think.
No, sorry.
Sorry, I'll get a mover and a seconder for those reports. Moved by Councillor Wales. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor
Law.
Thank you, Councillor Law. Any questions or comments? If not, I shall put it. All in favour?
Aye.
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 Against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 14, correspondence requiring council action for information. I'll look at those as a block, councillors, 14.1 to 14.6. If I can get a mover and a seconder, we'll open it up. So moved by Councillor Wales, seconded by Councillor
Law.
Seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments, councillors, on from 14.1 to 14.6? I'll deal with these all together, if that's okay. No questions or comments? If not, I shall put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. I'll now move on to no confidential matters. Item number 16, conclusion of meeting.
Just wanted to quickly thank our viewers. I understand this will be going on to live stream recording and be available later, so I apologise for the technical difficulties we've had throughout the meeting. It was no reflection on our hard-working IT team. It was out of our control. More regional connection upgrades, I think, is what's caused that. So, yeah, just wanted to apologise for our viewers and understand that there'll be a recording made later on, and also thank our councillors and staff for working through those issues.
Yeah, excellent. So thank you, councillors and staff. That concludes our meeting. Thank you very much.